Hey NewPointe, our weekend experience is about to start and we are so excited that you joined us today. Here at NewPointe, we are passionate about connecting you with God, connecting you with others, and connecting others to God. And so we have some tools that we want to give you to kind of help with that. And so if you haven't already, check out the NewPointe app at newpointe.org/app. There you can download it and find some really helpful tools there. We also want to encourage you to check out our YouTube channel where you can subscribe and stay up to date on all of the content that we have coming out there. We get that this season is really difficult and we understand that life can be complicated, but we want to be able to help you with that. So visit newpointe.org/lifeiscomplicated for really great resources that might help you or a friend in whatever season you're facing. Our weekend experience is about to begin. We are so excited and we believe that God has really big things in store for us today.
Singing in the kitchen, family. Running through the yard, family. Going on vacation, family. On the credit card, family. All in this together, family. We are taking a chance, family. Like birds of a feather, family. Kick off your shoes and dance. Hey. On the way to the city, family. Laughing in the rain, family. It ain't always pretty, family. Can drive you insane, family. Got the keys to the kingdom, family. We'll take it all apart, family. All four seasons, family. Well, bless your heart. Hey. Choose them, you can lose them. We've all got a song to sing. Some are crazy, some are amazing. All got a little bit of everything. Hey. Hey. Family. Sons and daughters, family. Like a photograph, family. Baptized in the water, family. Put me on the map, family. All in this together, family. We're taking a chance, family. Like birds of a feather, family. Kick off your shoes and dance. Hey.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to NewPointe Online. I'm Gina.
And I'm Jonathan.
Wherever you're joining us from, we want you to know how happy we are that you chose to spend time with us.
Yeah, today's experience is going to last around an hour, and we believe it is going to be a life-giving experience for you. And we want you to know here at NewPointe, we are so appreciative of each and every one of you and your generosity. It's because of your generosity that we're able to do things like give 1,000 backpacks away to kids who need them for school. It's gives us the ability to appreciate our first responders at each of our locations. We're even in the midst of doing something special for all of our schools around. And it's not just that, but the church is alive and awake. We're doing things like seeing people baptized, seeing people make the decision to follow Christ. It's really incredible. And all that happens because of the faithfulness of the Lord and the faithfulness of people like you. And so if you're wondering, how can I be a part of that? Make sure that you visit our website, newpointe.org, go newpointe.org/give in order to give to that.
You know what? Today, Dwight is actually going to be talking about parenting and the powerful impact each of us can have on the next generation. With that in mind, we have a segment here at NewPointe that we call, Hey, What's Up? It's where we surprise different people and staff from NewPointe and simply ask, Hey, what's up?
Yeah. And so for this segment, we sent our very own Tyler Snyder to some of the different locations to ask parents, Hey, what's up? Let's check it out.
Hey, what's up? I hope you're doing well. My name is Tyler, and I am back with another segment of Hey, What's Up? Now, this is a parent edition, so we're going to go around, we're going to find a few staff members, and ask them, hey, what's up? As a parent. So let's do that. This is the office of Luke Levesque, our IT director. Luke, how are you, my friend?
What's up?
We're asking parents some fun questions.
Okay.
What's one of the funniest things they've ever said?
Most recently, my 6-year-old son, who's in first grade, he got up one morning and dressed up like with a bow tie and a button-up shirt, and that's not normal for his first grade class. So we asked him why, and he said, well, you gotta look good if you want to get married.
I mean, that's just wisdom from him. Hey, Brandy. Hey, we're filming another Hey, What's Up? Hey, what's up?
Nothing much.
What is one of the most unexpected things about parenting that you wouldn't have thought of beforehand?
I think when you think you have it all figured out, like your kids totally throw something at you. So they're always creating some new adventure for me.
Cindy, I'm gonna come to you. All right, what is one of your favorite things about parenting?
That they actually do hear you when they're younger. When they turn 25 and 27 and they thank you, it kind of warms the heart that they actually did listen to you all those years ago.
Absolutely. Incredible. You hear that? No matter what, you're being heard. Your voice matters. Gentlemen.
Hello.
Jonathan, hey, what's up?
What's up?
Let me ask you this. What is one of the most wild things your kid has said to you? PG, okay, keep it PG, obviously.
Goodness.
That's a pretty common expression, Jonathan.
She wrote me a note, put it on my pillow. It was my oldest that said, Daddy, dear Daddy, you are not fat.
Oh. Patrick, I have a special question for you.
Yes.
How many times have you bench pressed your children?
I actually do push-ups with my kids on my back, which is kind of fun. They laugh and giggle.
What's been your favorite moment of parenting so far?
I got to pray with my son to ask Jesus into his heart this year, and I cried through the whole thing. I think he pretty much saved himself without any help from me, but it was like the best moment ever.
Incredible. Another heartwarming answer from our staff. Joel Stone. I'm great. Are you good?
I'm good.
What was one of the moments that you realized your kids might have had an edge on you?
Well, when they look at you and mommy's right behind you and they say, well, I'm gonna go tell mommy.
Oh no.
It was a power play.
Do you feel like kids are better at strategy than adults?
Yeah, unfortunately. I don't know if it's in their DNA or what it is.
So if you're a parent and you're watching this, just know they've got some dangerous strategies ahead. Hey Kyle, what's up?
Hey, how's it going?
What's something that you thought, or maybe that you didn't know before getting into parenting that you learned almost instantly?
Oh my goodness. Begin as you mean to go, because you do something once and suddenly it's law. And so you keep trying to do something different in the future and your kids are like, oh, no. We did it this way that one time. We're doing it this way every time. And so, we had marshmallows for breakfast that one time. It's marshmallows every day, Dad. That never happened, by the way.
That sounds incredible. In fact, I think I'll be coming over for breakfast here very, very soon. What would you say to, now I'm a confident 27-year-old guy. I don't currently have any kids. And what if I think parenting might be easy? What would you say to me?
It changes, but it's the most rewarding thing you'll ever do. Promise.
That's incredible. Barbara, thank you so much for being a part of Hey, What's Up? We'll see ya. What I'm learning is I have no idea.
Tyler, that was awesome.
Yeah, it sure was. Gina, being parents for over 16 years now, we've gone through our fair share of challenges with our kids. We have 4 daughters, but the year of 2020 has been one special challenge for all of us. And for every parent out there, you know what I'm talking about. Kids all of a sudden are staying home from school. Parents have to figure out how to be homeschool teachers and maybe even work jobs at the same time. There's a lot going on, and even managing some of those emotions going on. So today we've tailored a lot of our service around parenting and how we can better resource parents.
Yeah, for sure. We want to give you a bit of a snapshot of our experience today. We will be hearing from Jeremy and Carrie Klassner from our Dover campus about how parenting has impacted their lives. We're going to have some more songs, and make sure you stick around at the end for a wrap-up video from Dwight.
Yeah, but first, I had the opportunity to sit down with professional counselor Robert Vore to discuss the effects that anxiety and depression play on our young people and how we as parents can help kids face those troubles in today's culture. Now, I want to encourage you to go to our YouTube channel to view this interview and some others like it in its entirety. But first, going to take a look. Hey, Robert, how's it going?
Good, Jonathan. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, it's been an interesting year for all of us, but adjusting and adapting to all the different changes that we got going on. I'm a father of 4 daughters. My 2 oldest are 16 and 13 years old, and even the stressors that they deal with just on a regular basis, I think it's easy as a parent to just think, and maybe put myself, well, when I was your age, X, Y, and Z. But, the reality, I had a conversation with my oldest yesterday about just, messages that were taking place on private boards in her school and things that they have to deal with that are just at a whole different level. So set aside all of the events that we've seen unfold in 2020. What are some ways that parents can help their teenage children and their adolescent children through some of those stressors, through some of those things, and handling those day-to-day things as a parent?
Yeah, I think it all has to start with the way that we can, our ability to navigate our own emotions healthily, right? So that we can model that, because as much as we tell our teenagers, or whether, depending on if it's your kids or who you're leading or things, right, as much as we tell them, hey, here's how you would deal with that, things, right, the way that they see that unfolding in the way that we respond kind of makes this implicit, oh, that's how I deal with it, right? So getting a kind of a good grip on how we deal with our own emotions healthily, and also that matters so that we can validate their emotional experience as opposed to needing to fix or solve it, right? So here's an example. Someone, one of your daughters comes home and says, hey, I'm so upset because I got in this fight and now my friends all hate me and I have no friends, right? There's an instinct there to say, oh, no, that's not, I'm sure it'll be fine, I'm sure, right? And what that does, although it comes from a good place, what that communicates is hey, your experience is kind of not valid, right? I'm trying to kind of fix it or solve it. And potentially some of that comes from my own need to fix what's happening, right? I'm uncomfortable with you being upset, right? Which has to do with me internally. And so if we can say, hey, I can kind of deal with my own things. I can sit with you in being upset, and I can validate the emotional experience, right? Now we can pull apart the emotions and the thoughts. And so I'm not necessarily going to validate my friends all hate me. That's not a feeling, that's a thought, right? But I know what it feels like to be hurt or to feel lonely or to be upset, right? And I can empathize with those and say, hey, that sounds really hard, right? I can validate that part of it. And then without me having to jump in and fix and solve it, right? That gives them the experience of, I can navigate this unpleasant experience emotionally, I can navigate it and learn that it's survivable because it does pass, right? Emotions come in waves. And potentially I can kind of think through what are the best next steps, things like that, as opposed to, okay, my parent is jumping in and saving me every time or trying to convince me, right? Those types of things.
No, that's fantastic. When someone's going through this, I think what's important, is that they understand they're not alone, right? I think that's probably really hard for people to go man, I'm struggling with mental health because, I can't, that's not, I should have it all together. But just to know hey, none of us do, you're not alone in this. You're not alone in this.
We all are feeling kind of more isolation than normal, right? I can't go out and see people. And even when I go to the grocery store, I'm how far can I stay away from people, right?
Sure.
Isolation is certainly compounded right now. And I mentioned, for adolescents and young adults, right, the social component is stronger, particularly in how that resonates in their brain and things like that, than it is later in life. And so it's particularly important, which is really hard,
That's a great point. That is a great point. That isolation, we're meant to live life in community, and we're being encouraged to, it's kind of this quasi community aspect. It's hey, we're together, even right here, over, technology we're seeing, but we have to figure out what those points are of connection so that we're
Yeah.
not isolated. That's great stuff.
Yeah.
Robert, it's been a pleasure talking with you. If people want to find out more information about you, your ministry, where do they go?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me on. I mean, it's an absolute honor to come on and have these conversations. If anyone wants to find me, it's pretty easy. You just go to robert-vore.com, and there's links there that go to anything that I do. So that's probably the easiest way to go.
That's fantastic. Well, hey, as a church, as a parent, we just want to keep encouraging you to do what you're doing and just praying for you, praying God's blessings upon you and wisdom and all the things that are ahead. So I appreciate it, Robert.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You have a great day.
Our family has kind of grown. Every 2 or 3 years, we introduce a new person to our family. So it's been a wonderful joy. Our kids range in ages from 14 to 2.
So teenagerhood and toddlerhood at the same time. Before kids came along, we were intentional about taking 2 nice vacations a year, kind of leisurely weekends.
We knew that we wanted to have children, you know.
Oh, we definitely talked about it, but I don't think we talked about 5. Like that was not.
We didn't talk about 5.
We didn't talk about 5.
Yeah. 5 kind of happened.
It surprised us.
Yeah.
And our older kids are now, we started fostering independence at an early age, and they help. So helpful. They're very helpful. All of them. I feel like it just kind of evolved into this is our new way of family.
Yeah, the way we used to do things, I think sometimes you miss the way you used to do things, but the joys and the excitement with the new things that are coming, you grieve it a little bit, but with the joys that come, I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't go back. We just kept having kids, and the first one was phenomenal. As number 2 came along, number 3 came along, we thought we were done. Our church had a series of the prayer circle, and our second child started praying for a 4th one. Number 4 came along, and then we got laid on our heart that we wanted to get into the foster world. So we began fostering, and number 5 came along. We adopted her just 9 months ago. So we're done. We have 5 children. We say we're done, but we're done. But we grieve all those things in the past that we missed. But man, the joys of parenting outweigh that. You got to take care of your marriage, because if you don't take care of your marriage and there's 2 of you there, the kids are going to see that. And so you take care of yourself, take care of your marriage, and I think that helps you in the end be a great parent. Numerous times, the Bible says that Jesus went off to pray, but there were thousands of people that needed healed. But Jesus had to go off, talk to God, he prayed to the Father, but he had to get restored himself. Our children are one of our top priorities, but unless we take care of ourselves and our marriage, I don't think we can be great parents. One of our biggest challenges for parenting, about 3 years ago, we became foster parents. And we felt God called us to get into the foster parent world. Our daughter, who we've now adopted, she came to our home. A month later, we had 2 other foster children that lived with us. And so we had 7 children in this home.
Part of that story is we wanted to teach our kids to serve locally in their community. Both of us love kids and have a heart for kids and kids that don't have the same start in life. And we wanted our kids to know, hey, not everybody has the same support system you do, but they still need supported.
We had some phenomenal foster children, but we're not used to having 7 kids. And
we went from 4 to 7 in 2 months.
In 2 months. We went from 4 children to 7 children in 2 months. And I would say from a parenting low, it was daily that we said, we are not giving these kids what they need. Like, we are not helping these kids. We're not giving them what they need. And we struggled. I mean, we really, really struggled.
That was probably the hardest mommy year of my life. Having a newborn infant, my 4 girls, and 2 boys that were 4 and 5. It was challenging, but like he said, our girls,
I've never been more proud of our girls for how they stepped up to help. The kids that were living with us in the foster, they've since gone home. They flourished. They did very, very well. Our kids were phenomenal. I mean, they were absolutely phenomenal in helping with the kids that were in our home from the foster situation. They grew leaps and bounds. We were just so proud of just how big they were, just how responsible they were, how helpful they were. And that was a really tough time. And if you ever talk about like expanding yourself or challenging yourself to see yourself grow, that was a year of huge, huge growth.
when you get to that point where you feel like, am I messing this up? For me, I know that where I seek my advice from God is the right place. So even if I'm having a day where I am not getting this right at all, I know I'm seeking my advice from the right person, from the person who created parenting. And so that gives me, a little wiggle room for those days when I'm wanting to beat myself up about, I'm not a good wife, I'm not a good mom, my kids aren't listening, they're tearing up the house.
It's weekly that we say, we are messing this parenting thing up. And we'll go for a walk and we'll just talk about how we're messing our kids up so bad. And then they'll come out and they'll do something fabulous, or a teacher will call, or a teacher will email and say what a joy so-and-so is. Or we'll take them to family or take them to friends and they'll talk about how respectful they were and how well they listened. And first we got to make sure it's our kids. We're not sure they're talking about our kids. But once we clarify that it is our children, it's that little boost like, wow, I did something right. I believe that God and Jesus love me like a dad should love a kid. That's what we shoot to be. That's where our foundation is. And so it's so hard as a parent when you have the perfect dad, and then you're the dad to your kids and you don't handle it like the perfect dad did. But you keep looking at the perfect dad and say, help me do this better. Help me do this better. Help me be unconditional. Help me not to be judgmental with my children. Help me to love them more.
You have to extend grace and then be willing to receive grace when you mess up as well.
I think the more we focus on Jesus, the more we focus on God, I think it makes me a better parent.
I was buried beneath my sin. Who could carry that kind of a weight? It was my turn till I made it. I was breathing but not alive. All my failures I tried to answer. I was an orphan, now you call me a citizen of heaven. When I was broken, you were my healing. Now your love is the air that I breathe in. I am the future, my eyes are open, 'cause when you call my name, I ran out of that gate, out of the darkness, to your glorious day. You called my name, and I ran out of that gate, out of the darkness, into your glorious day.
It has been said that your greatest contribution may not be something you do, but someone you raise. Whether you're a parent, a grandparent, an uncle, an aunt, a cousin, it's who you're investing in that is really important. You see, what you do in life pales in comparison to the investment that you and I make in the next generation. If you have kids, the time that you're investing in raising them and training them is the most valuable time that you have. And I promise you, it goes quick. And you might say, Dwight, why is that? Because no one has a bigger impact or influence on your kids than you do, mom, dad, grandparents. Now, you may not always feel like you do. I understand that. You may think that their friends or social media has a bigger impact and influence. But I promise you, it's you. It's you. And you and I, as parents, we have 5 stages that we go through in life. And I want to share them with you briefly because you need a framework. And the first years is connection. And it's kind of like birth through 1-year-old. And that's where you hold them and you cuddle them and you kiss them and they need your touches. But then we move into the discipline years, and that's ages 1 through 5. And that's where you set the boundaries and the rules and you discipline them because you want them to know about authority. And then you move to the training years, ages 5 through 12. And this is where you train and develop them. And we're going to talk about that in a few moments. And by the way, what you need to understand is this. All of us have our framework basically formed by the age of 13. That's why this is so important that you and I grasp this. And then you have the coaching years, ages 12 through 18. And then you have the friendship years, and that's the adult children. But you know what the problem is? Is when you and I try to discipline them in the coaching years and in the friendship years. It just doesn't work. And so if the greatest contribution is that you and I raise our children, we train them because no one has a bigger impact on our kids than us, I think it's very important that you and I take a closer look at certain principles on how you and I can effectively do this. And by the way, if you're not a parent, you're going to be able to learn from this because maybe you weren't trained in these ways. And as a young adult or as an older adult, you can begin to do that for yourself. Now, here's what Solomon says in the book of Proverbs, and he's the wisest man, no doubt, apart from Jesus Christ. Here's what he says. He says, train up a child in the way in which he should go, teaching him to seek God's wisdom and will for his abilities and talents. And even when he is old, he will not depart from it. He's basically saying drop an anchor in them that they'll never recover from. And the word train here means more than just teach. It includes everything that pertains to the proper development of your child, especially in the moral and spiritual nature. Just like I said, by the time that one is 13 years of age, their moral and spiritual framework has already been developed. And so we're called to train them. Now, the spiritual nature deals with this. You and I know that we have an enemy. We have someone who wants to destroy us and rob us of our joy and our peace. So we're really training them and preparing them for war so that when they leave our home, they're going into a battlefield. Now, we all have such a short time to train and coach our kids. I realize that. It goes so fast. And so it's important to understand as soon as possible, how should we train them? What should we focus on? Because you can train them how to throw a ball, you can train them how to hit a ball, shoot a ball, all of that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that ultimately won't guide them and direct them in life. And so what I want to do is I want to give you 5 things to train and coach your kids in. And again, if you don't have kids, you need to be asking yourself, how well have I been trained in this? And where do I need to go back and maybe hit the reset button? So let me give you the first one. The first one is to revere God. To revere God. Now, what does it mean to revere God? It means this, to give God first place and obey him. To give God first place and to obey him. You fear him. You have a reverence for him. I feared my father. Okay, not that he was going to hurt me, but that he was going to hold me accountable. And that's what it means to fear God, that you reverence him. You know that he's going to hold you accountable. And this is one of the most important things that you and I can train our kids in, and that is to revere God. You see, again, if you train them in this, it is so critical to their life. Now, to revere God, we have to come back and realize it's mainly 2 areas of life. And one is this, it's time and treasure. You see, when you revere God, you put him first in your life. You put him first in time and treasure. And these are the 2 ways that you learn to trust God and you learn to fear God. Because here's what I know. All of us are going to invite God into our time. Why? Because when you get sick, when you don't have enough time in life, what do? You pray and you ask God to extend your time, life, and treasure, money. You know, when you don't have enough, or you think that you're going to lose something, what do? We pray and say, God, help me in this area of my finances. And so it's very important that you and I teach our kids to revere God, and that is to honor him with our time. That we give him our time, we serve him, and that we honor him with our treasure, that we honor him in our giving. And by the way, these are the 2 things that will cause the most anxiety and fear in your kid's life, because they cause the most anxiety and fear in your life. And so Solomon writes this book called Ecclesiastes, and he comes to the end of the book after he has looked at everything in life, and here's his instructions. Fear God, revere and worship him, knowing that he is, and that he keeps his commandments, for this is the whole of man. And then listen to what he says here. The full original purpose of his creation, the object of God's providence, the root of character, the foundation of all happiness. He's saying that it's the foundation of all happiness. The adjustment to all inharmonious circumstances. That means that when life doesn't go well, you can make the adjustment because God is first in your life. And conditions under the sun, the whole duty for every man. Wow. So we're called to train our kids to revere God. How you doing with that? Do you have God times as a family? Do you have times of where you're bringing your kids around and you're telling them the importance of God and to honor him and to be able to serve him? And you're teaching them to set aside time for him and to set aside their treasure for him? So important. Here's the second one, and it's this. Train them in how to respect others. To respect others. And this starts with reverence with God, okay? That's the foundation for everything because it shows humility towards other people. And why is this so important? Because today everybody is rude. We're rude, and the world is becoming uncivil, okay? So we want to train them in being respectful. Now, what is the definition? Let me give it to you. It's to appreciate the uniqueness, the value, the worth, and affirm the dignity of everyone because God made them. Wow. See, this is why there's absolutely no room for being prejudiced or for racism. You appreciate the uniqueness of the person. You value their worth because they're created in God's image. You affirm the dignity of everyone. And anytime you disrespect someone, you insult God. You're disrespecting God. And so you make yourself more important than other people. And that's not good. That's not right. It's prideful. It's egotistic. Here's what Matthew has to say. Matthew says, if you put yourself above others, you will be put down. But if you humble yourself, if you respect others, you will be honored by others. You see, people who disrespect other people get stuck in life. Many times we don't know why we're stuck. Peter says it like this. He says, show proper respect to everyone, to God, to your parents. Matter of fact, there's a promise. You show respect to your parents, guess what? You have a long life. Show respect to your spouse. Husbands, when you don't show respect to your spouse, guess what? It hinders your prayer. Show respect to senior adults, okay? To the poor, even to your enemies, to government leaders. You know, I know that my father would train me in this and respecting my mother. I could never get away with disrespecting my mother. I could never get away with disrespecting a teacher because I would answer to him. You see, you will never win anyone to Christ that you disrespect. If you only respect perfect people or people that agree with you, then you will respect very few people. If I'm angry with someone, it's highly unlikely that I will be able to respect them. And so here's my question, Mom, Dad, grandparents, all of us. How are your children learning to respect? You know how they're learning to respect? They're watching you. Do you respect your spouse? Do you respect your boss? Do you respect leaders around you? See, there's a saying that goes, expect what you tolerate. And my children, because of what I learned from my own father, know that, you know what? You better not disrespect Mom. You better not do that. That's one of the things that you better not do, because if you do, you're going to answer to me. And so they're watching you, how you respect those in authority around you. And your actions speak louder than anything that you can teach about authority. And so we want to train them, not only to revere God, but we want to train them in being able to respect other people. Here's the third one. The third one is this, to be reliable. To be reliable. You want to train them to be reliable. This is so important. You see, if I'm not reliable, I won't be able to earn trust. And trust is so important in relationships. If people don't trust me, I can't have relationships. Trustworthy, okay, is so important. It's being faithful. It's being someone that you can depend on no matter what, through thick and thin. And it's rare to find someone who you can be dependent upon, okay? Let me give you the definition here of reliability. Being dependable, trustworthy, honest, and loyal. Wow. Here's what Proverbs has to say about that, all right? It says, there are plenty of people who will tell you, you can trust me, right? But it's hard to find someone who is trustworthy. Oh, my lands, Mom, Dad, all of us, you know, when you find somebody who is reliable, you find somebody who is remarkable, because it's remarkable to find somebody who is trustworthy. Now, there's 3 habits that we need to develop in our kids and train them in to be able to develop reliability. Let me give them to you quickly. Number 1 is tell the truth. Teach them to tell the truth. Look at what Proverbs has to say. Respected people do not lie. They do not lie. So you want to tell your kids, you want to train your kids, always tell the truth, okay? Secondly, keep your promise. If you make a promise, keep it. It's so important because your kids will learn what truth is by the way in which they keep their promises. And they will learn that from you and from me. When you make a promise, okay, and you don't keep it, you distort the truth in their mind. Here's what Proverbs has to say. Reliable friends who do what they say are like a cold drink in sweltering heat, refreshing. refreshing. And so it's so important that you and I train them in being reliable. Here's what Psalms has to say. Psalm says they keep their promises to their neighbor even when it hurts, and sometimes it hurts. So here's my question. What promises are you making to your kids? And are you keeping them? Very important. Here's the third thing, and that is teach them discretion. We're talking about how to train them in being reliable, okay? This is rare, discretion. Here's what Proverbs has to say. The more you talk, the more likely you will cross the line and say something wrong. But if you are wise, you'll speak less and with restraint. You see, what happens is people who gossip to you, can I let you in on a secret? And they don't use discretion, they gossip about you. You see, what happens is it gives this person power. It makes them feel superior, gives them a sense of being in control. And the Bible says, stay away from them. Here's what Proverbs has to say. A gossip goes around telling secrets, but those who are trustworthy, reliable, can keep a confidence. And so you want to train your kids. You want to be a person who reveres God, who respects people, who's reliable, and then fourth, who is resourceful. Okay? You want to train them to be resourceful. This is so important. You see, these are people who figure out solutions to problems. That's what they are. They figure out solutions to problems. And resourcefulness is defined in this way. Making the most of what I have and finding solutions to problems that others have overlooked. Okay? It's being innovative. It's being resourceful. It's I will do the best with what I have. That's what it is. I'm not waiting for perfect conditions, because if I wait for perfect conditions, I'll never do anything. I'll never get anything done. And so we need to train our kids. We need to train one another in being resourceful in our finances, in our time, in our relationship. Now, we live in a broken world, that's for sure. And you'll never have perfect circumstances. Nothing in your life will ever be perfect. Your marriage, your circumstances, life, work, but there's always the opportunity for you and I to be resourceful. And this is so important. So important. Here's what Philippians has to say. I know how to live on almost nothing or with everything. I have learned the secret of living in every situation, whether it is with full stomach or empty, with plenty or little. I'm telling you, listen, if you can teach your kids to solve problems, to be resourceful, to be creative, it's huge in life, because life is not fair. Matter of fact, our world is broken. And so there's going to be plenty of opportunity to be able to do that. Let me give you the last one, and it's this right here. It's to be resilient. To be resilient. This is so huge. You don't give up just because you got something wrong or you stumble. You just don't. You don't fall apart when things fall apart. We live in a nation of where people do not know how to be resilient. People give up, people blame, people complain, they defend their ways. But when you have resilience, you don't label yourself as a victim. You see, here's what resilience really means. It's the ability to bounce back and recover from loss, failure, stress, or disappointment. This is one of the greatest things that you can teach your kids, okay? This is what leaders are looking for in employees. Proverbs says it like this. Proverbs says, when good people stumble, even if they fall 7 times, they will get back up. Good people, we all get it wrong. You're going to get it wrong from time to time. Your kids are going to get it wrong time to time. And this is why it's so important in parenting. So important to allow your kids to fail, to allow them to feel it, to experience it. And what happens is you teach them that the world is broken. Everything on earth is broken. So you have to have a resilient spirit, because nothing is perfect. God is good, but nothing is perfect. You see, life can be good even in a broken world. Look at what Paul writes to the Corinth church. We're often pressured from every side. That's life. But we're never crushed. Sometimes we don't know what to do, but we never despair. And sometimes we're attacked and abused, but God never abandons us. We get knocked down, but we get up again and again, and we keep on going. This is resilience. Now, here's what I want you to know. God wants to use whatever you're going through right now to build resilience in you and to help people. Your greatest ministry, no doubt, will come from your biggest failure, your biggest heartache. And so we need to teach our kids their identity, that they're precious and they're valuable, and that they have a purpose. And that when life gets hard, you remind them of who they are. And resilience, okay, begins to develop in them, and they will begin to bounce back because they know who they are and they know who God is. Let me share this with you, okay? Here at NewPointe, we want to help you. Okay? We believe that the person who has the greatest influence on any child is their mom and dad. And so we want to help you with resources, okay? We know that parenting is complicated. We know that you want to get it right. We want to help you. And so I want to draw your attention to two things. One is we've got permission from NewPointe to be able to share with you their parent summit. And you can download it at northpointe.org/parent summit. And it's running through October the 3rd. It's incredible. It's unbelievable. And I encourage you to take advantage of it no matter who you are. And then we're offering a parent summit as well on October the 24th. And you can sign up for it. And we're going to be dealing with this on crisis, okay? How do you handle crisis? And so you can do that. And then on an ongoing basis, you can go to our website, newpointe.org, okay, to our next generation. And we offer home packets every month. You can receive a home packet of where you can teach and train your kids the truth about God and principles about God. We also have God times for you of where you can develop them on how to develop a relationship with Jesus Christ, and also a parent guide. It's all there on our website, and we want to invite you to use it and take advantage of it. You know why? Because the most important thing that happens in your life might not be what you do, but someone you raise. Now, mom and dad, you know what? We can't give what we don't have. We teach what we know, but we reproduce who we are. And so it begins with your relationship with God and letting them see that and experience that. And I trust that you will take the steps to make sure that these qualities are in you so that you can train them in those around you. Would you pray with me? God, we thank you today for who you are. We thank you for your word. We thank you for your truth. We thank you for your promises. We thank you that you are always there for us. And God, we know that the next generation is so important. And we know that we have a responsibility. We have a duty. And I pray for all the moms and dads that are feeling the stress and the pressure and the anxiousness of the challenges ahead. But may we be intentional. And may we embrace this truth. And may we develop kids who are remarkable because they revere God, they respect other people, they're reliable, they're resourceful, and they are resilient. And we pray this in Christ's name. Amen.
Wherever you are, we want you to know that it's never too late to make an impact on somebody. You have the ability to impact somebody's life. And we as a church, we want to stand behind you and support you any way that we can. So as parents, let's continue to cultivate the 5 qualities that Dwight mentioned. I want you to know that if you need prayer or you want to talk to anyone, we want to encourage you to use our intercom feature. Just go to our website, newpointe.org, click on the icon in the bottom right-hand corner of our website. We have pastors and staff waiting to speak with you right now. I want to thank you so much for joining us. We're going to end our service with a song. It's called A Song for My Children. I want you to check it out. Thanks for joining us.
I swear sometimes I miss you, like I'm already gone. Your little laugh, the sunset on your face. I hope I'm years and years from leaving, good ways till goodbye. There's things I need to tell you just in case. May your life be long, your friendships deep. May your heart be kind and true. I pray you'll know the peace of God and how dearly I love you. I thought that I was living until you came along. Now all of you are all a part of me. Every breath you take a blessing, every smile a gift to me. Every day with you is twice as sweet. May your life be long, your friendships deep. May your heart be kind and true. I pray you'll know the peace of God and how dearly I love you. Someday you may need forgive me for the things that I've done wrong. You can blame me for the things I've handed down, but I beg you see my brokenness is how the light got in. Amazing grace, oh how sweet the sound. May your life be long, your friendships deep. May your heart be kind and true. I pray you'll know the peace of God and how dearly I love you.
Well, hey, Dwight, another great message. We are in the midst of life is complicated, but here at NewPointe, we want folks to know we want to help. We want
Absolutely.
to give you the tools, the resources. We want to help.
Right.
And so this week, we dug into parenting.
Right.
What a great time to talk about parenting, because 2020 has been a challenging year for parents and for kids alike.
Absolutely.
So I can remember having surgery, waking up from surgery. That's when my wife woke me up and said,
Oh,
hey,
wow.
they just canceled school. I got to go pick up the kids because school is now canceled for the rest of the year. And so we had to learn how to become homeschool parents and how to adjust to our new work schedule. And everything seemed to be so crazy. So
And life became very complicated.
very complicated. I think so many people can relate to that. So
Right.
we hear parenting messages, but I think this time makes it just right. And so you talked about 5 qualities to have in general
Right.
as parents. And the first one is basic, the foundation. Revere God, fear
Right.
God. Then respect others. Teach our kids how to respect others. And then be reliable, be resourceful, be resilient.
Right.
So out of this, we've asked people from our church to ask any questions that they may have for you or send those in. And so we've got our first one from Scott in Sugar Creek. Asks you, Dwight, what's your best or worst parenting moment?
Yeah, I'll go general on you and tell you a story. You know, always my worst is when I reacted out of emotion. And maybe I reacted out of frustration of just life without knowing all the facts. I remember Caleb was probably maybe 5 years old, and I walked into our bathroom, Patty and Mai's bathroom, off of our bedroom, and water was everywhere. And he was there. He was the closest one. And I just thought, what have you done?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? And I yelled at him. And in yelling at him, you know, I could tell that and it still bothers me today because he was fearful. And anytime a parent responds in anger, it usually creates fear in the child. Yeah. And I knew that I had done that. And it got even worse when I realized that he wasn't the one. Okay, it was a whole nother situation that caused that. And so I went back to him and I told him I was sorry, asked him to forgive me. And kids are very gracious when we as adults respond to them in humility and admit our wrong and ask for grace. And so he forgave me. And so that's probably the worst. And I can tell you a number of other times of when I didn't respond correctly, maybe because of my own frustration in my own life that was going on.
Sure, and I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Sure. And then the best is always about loving their mother. You know, you would think that it would be individually, but I think that my best parenting moment is when they see Patty and I interact, and I respect her, she respects me, we love each other, we're affectionate. In front of the kids, we hug each other, we kiss each other, we thank each other, we relate to each other in a right way, because to me that brings stability, that brings security. You know, I don't understand when people remark about somebody and they say, well, he's not a very good husband, but he's a great father, or she's not a very good wife, but she's a great mother. I say, can't be. You know, there's no way that I can be a great father without being a great husband to Patty. There's no way that she can be a great mother without being a great wife to me, because they're intertwined. And when that relationship is solid, when that relationship is strong, when it's genuine, then what happens is it speaks stability and security, and nothing else can give that to your kids.
That's really good stuff for people to hear, because I think, you know, in today's society, so much is individualistic.
Right.
So I'll just be a good dad. That'll be enough for my kids.
Yeah.
But God wired our kids to see their parents loving,
Absolutely.
to learn what love is by watching them.
Well, what happens is it's your kid's first interaction with seeing how people operate with the opposite sex.
Yeah.
Okay? You know, how does dad treat women? How does mom treat men? And they're going to take that with them into their relationships that they have.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good. So Tanya from Millersburg, she asks this question: how do you not fear for your child's future?
Well, you know, I think one of the ways is what we just talked about, and that is you train your kids. You train them to revere God, to be resourceful, to be reliable, to be resilient, to be, you know, all of those things there, respectful. Because what happens is God honors that. God honors that. There'll always be, from a human standpoint, a little bit of concern, but we shouldn't be fearful. You know, Patty and I, one of the things that we did when all of our kids were very, 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 very young, they were at least 3 months to 6 months, we dedicated them to God. And we realized, hey, you know what? We're a steward. We're only going to have them for a little bit. And ultimately, they're God's. And you can put Patty and mine's love together, and it's a drop in a bucket compared to God's love for them. Matter of fact, when we had gotten married, people would ask us, you know, are you going to have kids? Yeah, how many are you going to have? And I said, well, I'd like to have 4. And people would look at me like, are you crazy? Why would you bring 4 kids into this world? Well, I believe that when we train them, okay, and we're intentional with them, and we teach them the principles and the truth about God and who they are and His love for them, and that they have a purpose in life, then what happens is it sets the course for them to go into a broken world, and you can have confidence that, you know what, yeah, life isn't fair. They'll have their ups and downs, but they'll be able to make it because their foundation is Christ.
It's fantastic to think about that. And I love how you say, like, we dedicated them when I think a lot of parents dedicate their kids and they go through a baby dedication.
Yeah.
But what that means is I'm not in control of this life. I can steward it, but I'm giving it to God, and that's kind of how I love hearing that.
Well, you know, here's just a little PS, okay? If I can't trust God with my money, if I don't give, if I don't tithe, there's no way I can trust God with my kids. And because money, treasure, is a tangible thing. And so I've trusted God with that.
Yeah.
And I've seen him do incredible, unbelievable things. So that helps me trust him with my kids. Because really, it's about a trust thing.
Yeah.
Do I trust God to lead my kids, protect my kids, provide for my kids? And so he gives us ways in which we can do that. And I talked about that, time and treasure. So when I learned to trust God in those two areas, it's amazing. It's amazing how I learned how to trust him with my kids.
That's good. That's really good. You know, Dwight, earlier this week, you and I were talking about this message and going back and forth, and the question came up like, hey, what about those parents who are parenting their kids and maybe their kids are older and they feel like, is it too late for me to make a difference? Is it too late for me to make
Absolutely
an impact?
not.
I loved your answer.
Absolutely not. And the key is humility.
I love that.
You know, if my kids are out of the house and or even if they're in that coaching stage or friendship stage of where I can't really discipline them, I set them down with those 5 things. And I say something like this, hey, I want you guys to know I love you, and mom and dad have gotten some information that we wish we would have had when you were little. And we'd like to go over it with you because we believe this is so important. And we want to help you in any way that we possibly can to make sure that these are a part of your life and help you in that way. And to me, humility always makes available grace. And when you approach your kids, older kids, with humility and say, I know I didn't get it right. There's things I wish I would have changed. I got some more information. I'd like to share it with you. Then I think that they're very receptive and open for it. And then you begin to pray. And then you begin to model it for them.
Yeah.
As you relate to them, because now they're adults. And so they want to know, are you reliable? They want to know, do you respect me? They want to know, do you really revere God?
That's good. I think in this day and age, man, we just tell people it's never too late.
Never too late.
But the key's humility.
Key's humility.
Don't start with, hey, you should trust me now. Hey, I'm going to start with, I was wrong.
I was wrong.
But going to start
forgive
now.
me.
I love that.
Yep.
I love that. And so if you are a parent out there and you feel like, hey, I dropped the ball, I want you to know it's never too late. Not when God's involved.
Right.
The key is humble yourself. Don't go in with pride and have your expectations high. Humble yourself. Dwight, it's been so good to sit and chat with you. I'm so glad that we're able to offer this to parents this week. Want to remind you, if you're not a part of a NewPointe group, make sure that you go to newpointe.org/groups. It's better to live life together in community than to do it alone. I want to remind you, if you are alone watching this, however you may be watching, and you want to talk to somebody, we've got a great resource for you. It's called our Intercom, newpointe.org. On the bottom right-hand side, you'll see an icon. Click that there. We've got pastors and staff waiting to talk to you. Thanks again for joining us today. Dwight, thanks for answering these questions and being just candid with us. We appreciate it. Have a great week.
Great.